Welcome to the SBCA podcast, Component Connection, where we explore the people, ideas, trends, and innovations shaping the structural framing industry. Regardless of how you touch this industry, we're glad you're here. Enjoy the episode.
Welcome to the SBCA podcast, Component Connection, where we explore the people, ideas, trends, and innovations shaping the structural framing industry. Regardless of how you touch this industry, we're glad you're here. Enjoy the episode. Hello, this is Ashley Baker, the Director of Education for SBCA, and I'll be your host for this episode of Component Connection. I am joined by Jeremey Hurley, who is the Senior Vice President, Program Operations at HBI, which you will hear just a little bit more about here in a minute. And we're going to talk about the wonderful things that HBI does and how it impacts our industry. Without further ado, welcome, Jeremey.
Thank you so much for having us.
Well, we're glad you're here. We know everything that HBI is doing is fantastic, and I cannot wait to shed some light on the tremendous work that y'all do for our membership so that they can hear all about it and hopefully, potentially even maybe get involved down the road.
So the Home Builders Institute is a national nonprofit based out of Washington, D.C. We're affiliated with the National Association of Home Builders, and we are primarily here. Our mission is to change lives and build careers.
I think that you might be everyone's favorite right now. Just going to start with that. You are really trying to solve a pretty big, problem within the construction industry, something that impacts a lot of folks, and you're doing it in a way that is very, very significant, impactful, positive. It provides an opportunity for individuals that, wouldn't maybe necessarily have those opportunities, which is a great point for us to talk about. So tell me a little bit about those in the industry that you're hoping to get into your program. Who are the folks that you serve?
Yeah, we've been around over 50 years. And so in that time, we've served almost every type of individual that you can think of. Everything from juvenile justice youth that are incarcerated all the way to transitioning military active duty on a military installation. So anywhere in between that, we want to be able to provide access to training, certification, and ultimately job placement for anyone in America who wants to enter the construction industry. We want to be that resource for them. And we're so proud to serve, and ultimately at no cost to any student, and give them this opportunity and this pathway into the construction industry. We have over 11 trades in our curriculum, and primarily we focus on construction, residential construction trades such as HVAC, plumbing, electrical, masonry, carpentry, you name it. We try to connect these students with students, introduce them to the industry, and ultimately make that connection into a sustainable career path. And we'll train around 10,000 students a year, and we're certainly very proud of that work, and their ambition is what drives us. Certainly the students that we engage with have a desire to, a lot of them are changing careers. Some of them are new, younger, 18 to 24-year-olds that are looking for what is next after high school. And certainly we want to be that resource for them, and engaged in high schools. We're engaged in veterans programs. You name it. We're trying to make the connection and solve this crisis of labor that the construction industry faces.
Yeah, absolutely. You have a far reach. I mean, I know we've had conversations, but I didn't even realize it was that far. That's amazing.
Yeah, we like to partner with other organizations that are trying to serve at-risk or challenged individuals as well. But certainly adults, younger, is traditionally the ones that we serve the most. Like I said, 18 to 24-year-olds, but we serve all the way to career-changing adults as well. But most of those programs are driven by whatever the partner that we may have in a particular market. They may already be serving the population, and so we plug in and really try to help those that want to enter into a construction trade. We want to be that resource for them.
Yeah. When you look at, the offerings across the board, what you've got available for folks. I want to take one step back. If we look at, HBI, if somebody jumps on your website and, they're looking at curriculum, certification options and the various programs you have, if I am an employer and I'm looking at, these training resources and different things, if I know of, element in the community or an organization that might be a good fit for you guys to touch base with, to try to get involved with, is that something that is possible?
Absolutely. Our HBI.org is our website, and you can connect through that to the contact us page, and that will route you to the correct department, and someone will definitely reach out. That's what we seek. We seek the industry's guidance, and we need the industry to help us, because we're here to serve the industry, but we need the industry to step up and let us know where those needs are and what those skills might need to be honed in on or trained in a specific market. We definitely don't go into a market without the industry's backing. And many times, especially in what we call our Future Builders of America, those programs are traditionally in high schools and community colleges. And it's really driven by the industry's request that we reach out to their local high school, for example, and try to get our curriculum into that high school and CTE program.
Yeah. So you're making an impression early and hoping to try to catch some of these kids early on and point them towards, some other options that, are alternatives, for example, to a four-year university.
Yeah, absolutely. In that Future Builders of America program that I just described, that is targeted towards high schools. We have some partnerships with other partners like Boys and Girls Club and Scouting, and we're actually trying to explore starting even in the middle school level to try to expose students to construction at a younger age. And then hopefully they'll transition into a program that we may operate and train them post-graduation. And really that's where my portfolio is, the HBI operated program. So where an HBI instructor engages with an HBI student is really what I oversee at HBI. But certainly we have broadened our reach through our Future Builders of America program to really plant the seeds at a younger age that construction is a viable career path. And it's exciting. And there's certainly what we believe is an AI proof at this point possibility for a career.
I couldn't agree more there. And, as someone who has been a teacher, I've been in education, had a great experience, ultimately decided to go a little bit of a different direction. One of the things that I saw most prominent is, they still want to do things with their hands, right? They really want to be involved and get in there. And I think, what you guys are doing, especially trying to even get into the middle schools, is so valuable, right? What is the difference in a fifth grader and a sixth grader who's now in middle school and no longer has recess, right? And they've taken out shop class and, art and all of these other things that are so valuable. You put a program like HBI in there and suddenly, I imagine they're eyes are bugging out of their head and are excited to get going.
Yeah, absolutely. We feel like that's where the magic happens for us. And certainly in the HBI operated programs, which we've got a couple hundred of those across the country that I referred to, and even our curriculum is designed to be 75% hands-on, 25% academic. So we feel like that's what sets our curriculum and our methods apart from other opportunities that students may engage with, is really getting them on the shop floor, making the sawdust and the sparks fly. And that's really what turns the light bulb on for the students and keeps them engaged and shows them that it can be fun as well. It's hard work, but it's fun. And really, we've seen that the students, that hands-on demonstration of skills and that skill attainment, that is certainly rewarding to the students. And with cell phones nowadays, students just take pictures and videos of their work and of their friends training, and it's awesome. And we try to do the best we can with celebrating those things through social media as well, just to try to create a better image of the industry.
Wow. I got to ask, how many of them hear you say, yeah, you're going to see sparks fly and just light up in excitement?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's the most fun. And you can see through some of our social media channels, just those amazing faces when they wire a simple circuit up and the light bulb comes on and the doorbell rings, or maybe, you load test a wall that they just framed. And so it's it's always rewarding. Even the adults do that same thing in our programs, especially when they get to like the painting and finishing portion of it, and they can really step back and show the work that they've done from building a structure from the floor, from the ground up, and then they stand and pose with their work. It's awesome to see and certainly rewarding for us.
Oh, I bet. I mean, I can imagine, like you said, testing a wall, right? That you just framed. I mean, you get to look at that and like, sure, it's a wall, but I built that, right? How amazing is that? They must be so
That's right.
proud.
Oh, they are. It's fun. And like I said, the students that we traditionally serve may have not thrived that well in a classroom environment. And so showing them what's possible and giving them an alternative way to learn has been really the magic that's made us successful. And we want to continue to do that. And certainly our students always give us feedback that, their most proud moment was whatever the project that they were working on, that completion date. And we try to treat the training programs like a job site. The ones that we operate, we really start to build in that employability skills and treat them like a working site, and everything from safety and attendance and as well as tool accountability, all of those things that we all know that the employers appreciate. We certainly try to focus on that too. And the students love it.
Well, one of the questions I was going to ask you is, how your program is different from the traditional education models, that you've just absolutely nailed it. And when I think about why you guys must be, I mean, I know you're incredibly successful. And now I think, we have a really good picture as to why we've got kids that are, finally doing something that they feel like is, it engages them. They're using their hands and they can see the product, the end result that they had a hand in, quite literally. And I mean, the value there, that's how you keep people involved in this industry.
Yeah, absolutely. And in our adult programs that we operate, we usually try to connect each cohort of students to a community service project. And then that's when they really get engaged, is when we can take them out of the shop, put them on a job site, whether that's with Habitat for Humanity or any other organization that may be doing work in the community. And when we're able to really show them that social impact that they can have, and we're not just training here in a lab, and they can see the impact that they can have with a career in construction, is certainly rewarding too. And so we're always seeking those opportunities in the markets that we're in to whoever's doing a service project. It may be a veterans related, it could be a disability ramp for a home, or an emergency roof repair after a storm. Those opportunities for our students to get those hands-on real world experience are what we value the most.
The real world experience. So let's talk a little bit about the programs for our folks listening. You've got the youth programs, you've got the adult programs. Tell us a little bit about, let's talk through a couple examples, some of the pathways and whatnot that you offer.
Yeah. So a community-based program would be an adult learning opportunity like our Build Strong Academies, for example. Those we created with no barrier for entry. And so anyone in a community where the Build Strong Academy exists can apply. Like I said before, no cost to the students for attendance. And so those students can come into the program. We made those shorter in length in order to make sure that students could, basically afford the time away from employment and gain these skills. And so those programs are 9 weeks in length, and they'll come to us Monday through Friday, and they'll learn a specific trade. Most of them are electrical and carpentry, but those programs are free for anyone who wants to attend the program. And there's no pre-qualifications, or they just have to have the opportunity. They have to have the time to invest in their training. And we'll partner with other organizations to sort of help us with those wraparound services if a student has some challenges for like daycare or transportation challenges. And certainly we want to be able to empower those students to attend. So those are the Build Strong Academies, which are what we consider a community-based program. Another example would be our transitioning military programs. We've got 10 of those that are on or near military installations. We've been operating those about 8 or 9 years now, and those will train about 1,000 transition service members a year. The students that are eligible for those programs have to be within 180 days of their end of active service for their contract. And so their chain of command will give them permission to come to our program for 12 weeks while they're still on active duty. And so that certainly removes that barrier for employment and sustainable time to train. And then, of course, when they get out of the military, we connect them to employment. So you asked earlier about kind of what sets us apart. In the programs that we operate, we always provide job placement for our students. And so of those thousands of students a year, we've traditionally held at least an 80% job placement rate for all of our graduates. So I really think that's what sets us apart. We're not just a training and certification entity, but we're also a job placement entity. And our students certainly gain access to all of our resources and the NAHB members, the local home builders associations, and any other employment opportunities, whether that's through a registered apprenticeship or not, even connections to the next level. Many of our students want to go into business for themselves. And so we can connect them to the next level, whether that's construction management at a 4-year university or even a community college to excel in the next level of their training.
So we did not touch on, and forgive me, HBI is a part of the National Association of Home Builders.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us, I guess, shed some light on how they're related.
Yeah, so it predates me, obviously. We've been around about 55 or 57 years, I think. I'm losing track now. I've been here 12 years myself. But the National Association of Home Builders started HBI years ago, and then we became our own separate 501c3 about 45 years ago, I believe now. And so we're still affiliated with NAHB. Our offices are still located in their National Housing Center in D.C., and many of our Board of Trustees members are NAHB members. And so we're certainly here to serve the local HBAs in general, to help them. Obviously, as we know, there's a labor crisis in the construction industry. And unfortunately, I don't think we're ever going to not be needed, but we're certainly trying to chip away at it as much as we possibly can.
Certainly. And you're working hard. You're getting involved. You guys have a partnership with Home Depot also, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Home Depot is a very strong supporter of ours they specifically fund our military programs, some of those Build Strong academies that I mentioned, as well as our Future Builders of America, getting our curriculum into high schools.
Wow. So if a component manufacturer is listening to this podcast and thinking, I'd really like to get involved here, what could they do?
Yeah, reach out to us. Contact us on hbi.org is the best place to start. But certainly, we always need mentorship program as well. We need the industry's connectivity to help us with the students. So if there's an opportunity for a lunch and learn, for example, come in, speak to the students, tell them about your company, your industry, your segment of the industry. We're always looking for partners for funding to start new programs as well and support some of our existing programs. Job placement opportunities, certainly we would love to know where you need labor and when you need it, and we can connect those students in those markets to those opportunities, as well as advice on what the next level of training needs to be. What does the industry need from a skills standpoint, and how can we help you with that? Really, we're here to serve the industry, so we don't do this in a vacuum, and our curriculum is built and vetted and accredited by the industry, and certainly industry recognized is what we want to be. And certainly any engagement from any of your members would be welcome in any way they want to engage. We have the opportunity to do it.
All right, component manufacturers, all you listening, you got to get involved. Here's your opportunity. They need you.
Yeah.
I know our membership well, and I know that they're a group of folks who are eager to get involved, especially in programs like yours. Everything HBI is doing. I love, the tagline on the website, building careers, changing lives. I know one of your goals, I guess, for 2026, keep innovating, right? Scaling programs. And a part of that is strengthening industry partnerships. And that is, for some of you who are probably wondering at this point, how are HBI and SBCA linked? Jeremy and I have been in conversations about making some connections and looking at opportunities where SBCA can get involved, be it, educational efforts and some of our on-demand training and whatnot that we've got available within our SBCA Academy. And so we are looking at those options and linking up our LMSs to make it even easier. But then, of course, we've got our fantastic membership coordinator, Michaela, who, just like Jeremy was saying, you go through a program and we don't want to leave these kids or these adults who have completed their program successfully without an opportunity. And so we're looking at, ideas and resources and ways that we can connect those who have completed these programs with a component manufacturer. So we will have far more to come there. We've got some exciting things on the horizon. We're cooking up over on the SBCA stove, and we are excited about those opportunities and what we'll be able to share very soon. Well, Jeremy, I appreciate you more than you know. It was fantastic to hear more about HBI, and we are so excited about what you guys are doing.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Wonderful. Well, if anybody does want to get involved, as Jeremy said, hbi.org is the website. You can get a little bit more information. I can tell you my experience. Jeremy and his team have been incredibly responsive. They're fantastic to work with. If you are looking for an opportunity, definitely take advantage. This is one you certainly won't regret. Thanks for listening to Component Connection, brought to you by SBCA. If there's a topic you'd like us to explore in the future, email us at podcasts@spcacomponents.com. And that's a wrap. Thank you, Jeremy, for joining us today. And thank you all out there for listening to SBCA's podcast, Component Connection. If you enjoyed this episode and found it valuable, please like it and share it with others. Stay up to date and in the know by subscribing to Component Connection on whatever podcast platform you use most.
Thanks for listening to Component Connection, brought to you by SBCA. If there's a topic you'd like us to explore in a future episode, email us at podcast@sbcacomponents.com.